Hello mate, how you doing, and welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. I hope you're doing well, my friend. I really do hope that, and welcome back to Chelsea News, of course, the daily series here on the channel where I reflect on what is being said about Chelsea, giving you my thoughts, feelings, opinions on it, but as always, more importantly, asking for yours. Of course, Chelsea have officially announced and presented new striker Liam Delap. A little bit more detail on his deal, how much it costs, how much was up front, how long he signed for, little things like that. A deciding that I'm actually really excited for. Many of you guys will have seen, analysis and data on him, and we've looked a little bit at that as well, but perhaps we'll speak a little bit more loosely and briefly on the signing. The big story, of course, that everyone's talking about is big magic Maignan, who is interested in coming to Chelsea and leaving Maignan, but of course, Chelsea, they seemingly want to take financial advantage of Milan's situation. We'll speak about that. I'll give you my thoughts on that. A player I'd really want. Maybe we can sort them out as well with Georgi Petrovic. Who knows? Possibly could he go out there. Now, of course, we've been looking at conventional left wingers, Jamie Gittins, Alejandro Garnacho, but there's been talk of a sort of different profile on the left. I went on Alex Goldberg's playback stream yesterday, and it was discussed quite interestingly, because of course we've looked at Morgan Rogers, and Gibbs White's come up. Ben Jacobs said loosely it's a name we're considering. I want to speak a little bit about that as well. So it's going to be a ruddy ding dong, mate. As always, I'll thank you for joining me. Thank you for supporting the content. I'm really grateful for that. You can do so by dropping a like on this video. It's a split second of your existence and it helps me out. And if you're yet to subscribe, why not? Why not jump on the fun train? I'm always here for you, mate. Will you be here for me? Alright, starting off with some good news. Young Isha Samuel-Smith, the left-sided defender, sort of left back. Apparently Enzo Maresca wants to keep him around for next season, which a lot of Chelsea fans who follow the academy closely are really happy about. Of course, we overcooked Cucurella in the last season. In all important games that mattered, it was Cucurella or bust. He was an excellent performer for us, both defensively in terms of like locking down opposition right wingers, and indeed popping up with crucial goals. Generally, he's great, and he's 26. He's going to have a great Chelsea career ahead of him. Hopefully, he's fully settled in London, and we can expect a long, positive journey with Cucurella. But we are short. We're massively short, especially in the way Maresca works. The reports are suggesting that Isha Samuel-Smith, the young 19-year-old left back for Chelsea, is seen by Maresca as a player who can rotate in and help. More time training with the first team, and more time integrating, suggesting he won't go on loan, and that maybe he'll be assessed as this potential option to alleviate Cucurella, or prevent him from red zoning, apparently. So that could be some good news. I wonder if as the transfer window goes on, or as we enter the second transfer window, we look at someone else. After the Club World Cup, there'll be opportunities as well. So we'll see what's going on there, and let's move on. Alrighty, so Chelsea have announced Liam Delap. He does look good in that Chelsea blue at Stamford Bridge, doesn't he? I must say, I feel like I'm still very interested in Chelsea potentially signing a Hugo Ekitike or another striker, but it doesn't feel like it's mandatory now. Excuse me. So Chelsea are still really high on Nico Jackson. They believe his ceiling has nowhere near be reached, and there's also a general consensus that with the addition of Liam Delap, Jackson will get better, not worse. That he's actually suffered from the amount of pressure on his shoulders being, be our Drogba, be our, guy. I know you've not played striker for long in your career, but suddenly just be the guy and play all the time and, score all the goals and make Palmer better, because you've got a good chemistry with Palmer. There was a lot of pressure for a young player, and I think for his character as well, it takes a very rare character to just wear that pressure well. I don't necessarily think Jackson did wear it well. He wore it poorly, I think. I think it was detrimental to his game. The addition of Liam Delap, I think, will be helpful. It was nice to see Jackson. He liked the Here We Go on Fabrizio Romano immediately. As soon as Chelsea announced it, he was the first Chelsea player to like the post. Obviously, a bit of PR there from the Chelsea striker. But yeah, I genuinely think it will make him better. And they're different. The different profiles of striker. Liam Delap's much better in the box. They're both actually good at transitioning up the pitch in different ways, but Delap's ball striking is better. There's elements to Jackson's games that's better than Liam as well, so I think they will complement each other. I'm personally, if we're starting a game tomorrow, provided there's been it's not tomorrow, then the next game we play, say if we play a competitive game in a few weeks, let's just say then the first Premier League game, before I stumble across this this example too much, I'm probably going to start Liam Delap over Jackson, because I trust his ball striking more. He scored 12 goals. He got double digits for non-penalty goals in a team in Ipswich that created literally half the chances and half the big chances as Chelsea. If he finishes to the same rate he was finishing for Ipswich, that's 24 Premier League goals. And if you think he's only 22, he should get even better. And you might be like, whoa, loads of goals. Of course, that's you can't trust it exponentially to go up like that. But I do think, wow, I'd be very interested to see how Liam fares. And of course, one of the main things Jackson's got over Liam is he's got a great relationship with Palmer. He makes Palmer better. Well, Palmer knows, Delap well. So we are going to get into this little bit of detail here off The Athletic before we move on to Mike Maignan and speak a little bit more about Liam Delap. Let me just sip my bevy. I should say bevy is in coffee. I'm not on it at, what's the time? 8:51 a.m. in the UK. Right, so I'm going to read this article to you, give you some context of what's going on. Chris Weatherspoon writes, Chelsea have signed Liam Delap from Ipswich Town after activating his £30 million release clause. The 22-year-old has agreed to a 6-year contract, which feels short for a 22-year-old. I'm going to just speculate there's an option for one, it's 6+1. As part of this summer's transfer coverage on The Athletic, in addition to the breaking news story, tactical analysis and in-depth reads, this is essentially a short article that gives you everything you need to know. So it says, give their backstory in 100 words. Delap's father, Rory, was busy taking long throw-ins for Stoke in 2009. Liam joined the academy of one of his dad's former clubs, Derby, age 6. He stayed until me went to Manchester City in 2019. At 17, Delap scored on his City debut for Pep Guardiola's Man City in the Carabao Cup. And he gave him his first Premier League appearances 4 days later. At 17-year-old, okay. In summer 2022, Delap joined Stoke on loan, wore his father's old number 17. That's nice. Loans to Preston and Hull followed before Delap, who represented England at youth level and was eligible to represent Republic of Ireland. They sure love those players joining England. He joined Ipswich last summer. So, what should and shouldn't I expect to see? Well, Delap is at his best when galloping towards goal with the ball at his feet. He's strong, he's 6'1", so it's not massively tall but for a striker, but he's not diminutive. He's got physique and speed to make him a tough opponent, and boy, don't we Chelsea fans know it. We've seen him bully the F out of our players and stick Chalabar on his behind, who's defending well this season. So he scored 12 times in 37 league games and, of course, 10 non-penalty goals in a limited amount of chances, which is actually very, very good. And, yeah, they're a terrible team that went down, of course. Ipswich is to be considered a success at Chelsea. He is going to need to go beyond that, of course. And while he can score every type of goal, which sounds nice, he could add more assists to his game. He has the playmaking skills to do so. Yeah, I heard CFC Central Sam on the London is Blue podcast, great podcast, talk about how he's actually got a really good Trivela pass, which is, Ricardo, Quaresma, I suppose, Modric, the main two guys that you think of that do that. So how will he fit in tactically, Liam Delap? Well, his familiarity with head coach Maresca, and of course some players at Chelsea as well, he scored 27 goals in 22 matches. 27 goals in only 22 matches. Even at, under 23 level, that is insane. And of course, fellow Chelsea frontman Nico Jackson, he thrives when running in behind and excels at positioning himself within the box to receiving from wide areas and shoot, as the graph shows below. Yeah, they both do some similar stuff, but they also complement each other well. Like if a certain game plan's not working here, you chuck the other guy in. He's a fantastic dribbler, which I like. So is Mike Maignan. It's like you don't think of strikers and goalkeepers as dribblers, but this is apparently what we're going for. Delap has often brushed off defenders and made marauding forward runs up the pitch. He is good in the air and loves battling opposition. Yeah, I love watching Liam Delap for Ipswich because he literally was like dragging the team on like chains, like the sort of, Kratos or Olympus. Do you know what I mean? Like despite the opposition field tilt really pushing up and putting pressure, he'd be like, no, he'd like get the ball, keep, find this channel, push people off and literally drag the whole team up the pitch by himself. It's lovely stuff. Someone who know him says this: Maresca admired Delap since working with him at City. Liam is a fantastic player for his age. He said this to the BBC in December. We spent 1 year together. He scored 27 goals. He works hard on and off the ball. He understands the game. Because of his age, he can be an important player for England. Yeah, I do believe, actually, he's the heir to Harry Kane. I've gone on record saying that. I do believe. I won't read too much more of this. He has got a sell-on clause. Really interesting. Because there's a sell-on clause to Man City, and Ipswich have put their own in this deal, in negotiations, which I find quite interesting. And, of course, we got him for 30 million quid, which is an absolute bonus. It's an insanely cheap deal. They received 20 million up front in cash, which won't affect us really massively at all. Generally Chelsea'd like to pay. We paid 30 million up front for Enzo Fernandez, who cost 105 million. So it doesn't surprise me at all that we paid 20 million, but Chelsea were like, yeah, no worries, mate. And then 5 million a year? I'm guessing that for the remaining 10 million. But yeah, amazing deal. The one recurring theme that everyone agrees on. Some people might think I've heard genuine people who know a lot more about football than I say he's the truth. He will be an amazing striker. I've heard people say, yeah, he's really good. He's a rare profile. He might not be good enough to be Chelsea's number one. But what everyone agrees on is this is insanely good business because you're getting an asset who won't be on incredible money. We could have tripled his wages comfortably or quadrupled his wages comfortably and put him on well within the wage structure at Chelsea, and he'll be like, thank you very much. And yeah, like he's doubled his value. He's on a 6-year deal. He's a 22-year-old Englishman that's going to trend upwards. He's a 60 million pound player, like minimum 50. It's just it's an absolute no-brainer. Welcome to Chelsea. Can't wait to see you play. Right, so we got to get this going quickly. I'll tell you what, we're going to end on Mike Maignan in just a second, but I just quickly want to talk about this left side of the attacker. I'm not going to do any stats, pulling up any more stats on Gittins until that looks like it's going to happen, although it did sound like from a report we reacted to a few days ago, it was like going to go ahead. Chelsea are looking sort of between 30 and 50 million. I would welcome Gittins. His finishing stats are very strong. He's a proper conventional winger. He's like a Noni Madueke for the left. We know Maresca really likes Noni. He just wants him to reach his potential. But of course, with Jadon Sancho returning, with Mudryk being unavailable, we're looking to maybe even buy another left side of the attacker, and that's even with keeping Tyreek George as cover on both sides. People are talking about Morgan Rogers because we do really like Morgan Rogers. We've been really, really connected to linked to him lots. He's not a conventional left winger. He's like an inside left forward, which made me think of, and this was a discussion on Goldberg's playback, Eze, who's an amazing player who sort of plays on the left for Palace, but it's a back three system, so he's playing in that half space, but he sort of plays at a sort of left number 10. We're not being linked to Eze. I'm saying he'd be an amazing player, Eze, to get. But Morgan Rogers, Eze, and then, of course, Gibbs White, loosely linked to. Now, you think of Gibbs like, why are we being linked to him? We've got Cole Palmer, Esteval Willian, these creative inside players. Enzo Fernandez, who's been crashing the left half space and scoring goals. But again, if we are to be linked with these sort of left-sided players that aren't as conventional wingers, That might see us even playing slightly different under Enzo Maresca. It will be very, very interesting to see. But that we could still sign a conventional left winger, right footer, like Gittins, who, I know Chelsea fans don't want Alejandro Garnacho. I do think he's underrated by some, but I don't really want him either for a bunch of reasons. But we are still linked to him. I would much prefer Gittins because of how his finishing is and how direct he is. He's raw, but I think he could be very, very good. And now let's talk about Big Magic Mike. Alrighty then. Let me just have another swig of coffee to get through this next segment. Supercharged, right. I'm not going to share this page because it's got the bad things beginning with A that make me demonetized. So let's read. Get French football news. La Information de Français is citing L'Équipe here about Magic Mike. France international goalkeeper Mike Maignan, he's 29, wants to leave AC Milan this summer to join Chelsea. Bang! According to the latest report on Thursday from L'Équipe, the Lille OSC Academy product is expected to start between the sticks tonight in Stuttgart, with France in the Nations League semi-final against Spain. Maignan joined Milan in 2021 on a 5-year deal, which means, of course, he's now entering his final year, his final 12 months of his contract with the Rossoneri. The outlet understands that Chelsea have been chasing Maignan for the last 2 years. And remember, a couple of years ago, we did ask about him, and they said 80 million euros, and they went 80 euro. Hold on. Yeah, French numbers is mental, by the way. To say like 82, you say 82, which is 4 20s and a 2. How dumb is that? I'm trying to, get as fluent as I can with French, but when it makes no sense, it's just so tough. Anyway, 80 million euros, and we were like, lol, see you later, mate. Which we've been chasing for the last 2 years. Now the Blues are prioritising a move for the France international number 1, given Robert Sanchez and Philip Jorgensen have had unconvincing seasons under the tutelage of Enzo Maresca. Maignan has turned down renewals from Milan. The Serie A giants are not in a position of strength. Given Maignan's contractual situation, I'm going to give you my thoughts on this, guys, in just a moment. And the fact how they have failed to qualify for any European competition next season. Yeah, he wants out, they want money. So we've got a strong hand here. On the other hand, Maignan is keen on playing regularly in the Champions League, a competition Chelsea will compete in next season. Ooh la la. Milan manager Massimiliano Allegri intends to hold talks with Maignan after the Nations League. I forgot he's gone there. That's going to be stinky football. Finals to try and convince him to stay in Lombardy. However, Chelsea intend to move fast to rely on Maignan for the FIFA Club World Cup. As for Milan, they have set a 25 million euro, which is about 20 million quid, asking price for Maignan. Given Maignan's age and contractual situation, the Blues consider it an excessive sum. Now, yes, I hear you shouting at your screens. I do. You're saying, Jan, they wanted 80 million euros 2 years ago. Now we can get him for 20 million pounds. Just pay the money. He's world class. He wants to come to Chelsea. He won't break our wage structure. And while I agree broadly, loosely, and I'm very excited about the potential of signing Mike Maignan, Chelsea just see the position they're in. Why not play the field? Why not hustle? If he wants to come to Chelsea, yeah. And look, I like Milan, a historic, amazing club. The colours, the players that have played there, yada, yada, yada. I like how they've had a Chelsea contingent, Giroud, Pulisic, Tammy, Tomori, Ruben Loftus-Cheek. But they've got already good deals out of us for a lot of those players, yeah. They've done all right out of us, Milan. Trust me, they really have. So, time to return the favour. Why should we just be like, okay, this is how much we really want money. Give us 25 million. Okay. No. Why can't we be like, you're in this tough position. We want to hustle here. Chelsea are in a strong financial position. That doesn't mean we're just going to spend loose and be like, lol, cash, cash, cash. And this whole I find it is crazy. It's a low fee. 8.4 million for Mike Maignan's crazy, as I reacted to yesterday. But if that's a starting point, maybe we give him for 15 million. Great. I was in a sort of discussion again on Goldberg's playback, and a lot of people were sort of pearl clutching at this offer. I mean, I think, to be honest, I think it's done. And then, you know, to be honest, like, I'm never going to tell people how to feel or support football. It's not my position. But I can tell you how I feel. Before the Mike Maignan news, I was feeling pretty good. Yeah, I was feeling pretty good. I was like, well, I feel like we're in a strong position. I'm very excited to see Estevao and Santos, of course, both been called up to the Brazil first team. Petrovic, hasn't he been like the best goalkeeper in France this season, or certainly the top two? He's very good at passing. Fine, I'd be very happy to him to come in and be the goalkeeper to see if Penders gets over the line. I like Delap. I'd love it if we sign another striker as well with Jackson. We're looking at a winger. You know, the youngest Premier League team in history is about to get a bit older, hopefully a bit better. I feel pretty good. That was before we were linked to Maignan. I'm not going to suddenly decide to get really angry and like shouty at it. It's just not my style. But if we get him, I think we're going to get him for what can only be perceived as excellent value. And I do have a feeling we'll sign him. You know, if we don't, I'll be disappointed, but life will go on. And I'll still be looking forward to next season. You can be angry if you want. That's absolutely your prerogative. And I will never tell anyone how to react or support their club. But just, you know, be nice to each other. All right, mate. Let me know what you think. Please do leave your thoughts, feelings, and opinions down in the comments section below. I will, of course, be across all stories regarding Chelsea. I'll be following them here, mate, and you are most welcome, of course, so why not like and subscribe? And as always, now you've reached the end of the video, if you're at a loose end, why not check out Football Yannick, the sister channel, where I upload daily also regarding non-Chelsea things. And should you want it, Football Therapy merch, Goat Gang merch, caps, tees, and hoodies, and stuff like that. It's available on the Football Therapy merch store. Should be around this vid. Alright, keep it locked, friends. Take care of yourselves and enjoy the football. Peace.